Well, hello everyone. This is Robin Duncan, and tonight our topic is an introduction to EFT with the source technique. And when I explain EFT with the source technique, it's kind of like trying to explain the sparkle of a diamond to someone who may never have seen that kind of sparkle. And what it has done in my life is nothing short of amazing. If I had just one or two things to take with me to a deserted island, it would be my A Course in Miracles book and this process called EFT with the source technique. And tonight I hope to share with you many of the reasons why this is something that you must have for your own use. Imagine that you're in your 40s, and until a few months ago, everything was working fine. You are successful, attractive, wealthy, and it seems like you can manifest anything you want, anything you put your mind to. But all of a sudden, everything stops. It stops working, and you don't know why. The money stops flowing, expenses start to mount, health concerns start popping up, and even your relationship starts falling apart. And you find yourself in the middle of a lawsuit. All of a sudden, the life you once knew just seems to be completely different, almost like a train running off the tracks, and you don't know how to stop it. And the more you think about it, you realize that this type of experience has actually happened before. You remember other times when things were going good, the money was flowing and everything was going well, and then again, something happened and it would stop. And you keep trying to fix it, trying to take a new approach, but nothing is changing, at least not in a lasting way. You're growing even more frustrated. Maybe you're judging yourself or turning your anger onto someone else. You're trying to figure it out. What is causing this block? But you can't figure it out. You tried even harder to make things work, but still, nothing is changing. In fact, it seems that many things are just getting worse. And out of sheer frustration, you decide to seek help from someone that you heard that might be able to help you. At that point, you were introduced to EFT with the source technique. And after one session, you learned about the hidden root causes that were in your way. This example is one of my own clients, and in her mind, she thought that maybe it was the economy. Maybe that was causing the problem. Maybe it was those other people, those difficult people, the ones that she had to deal with every day. Maybe they were the problem. Or maybe it was just bad luck. Maybe she was having just some kind of a dark streak or something else. But what I know for sure is that the problem is always the result of something much deeper. The key is the hidden root causes that must be identified so they can be neutralized in order for lasting change to occur. It doesn't take a lot of time to find the hidden root causes of a problem. It does take a structured approach that you will learn through the EFT with the Source Technique series. After one session using the Source Technique, I helped my client identify her hidden root causes, the ones that were holding her blocks in place, the blocks to prosperity and happiness. The first hidden root cause that we identified is that she had a tremendous level of guilt from a previous divorce. The divorce was out of alignment with her religious beliefs. She wasn't aware of this until I helped her to turn inward and identify the feelings of guilt and the judgments that she was holding against herself. Another part of those hidden root causes is that she was judging herself for not following her own rules. She had rules that she had set up for herself over time, but she found that she stepped over them or around them, or she rationalized why she shouldn't follow them, and then ultimately she ended up in this painful situation. The problem was that she was judging herself for not following her own rules. Guilt is like a heavy blanket, and it blocks your natural flow of abundance. And wherever there is guilt or judgment, there is going to be self-induced punishment. They really go together. If you choose to feel guilty about anything, you are going to unavoidably invite punishment. My client was punishing herself for her own perceived mistakes. And there were several layers of this problem. And together I was able to help her to go deeper and deeper to get right down to the root so that we could pull it out from the root. It's almost like you're weeding a garden. You know, if you're trying to cut off the weed from the top, well, we know that that weed can come back multiplied. But if you're able to dig down to the root and pull it out from there, this is when your garden is free of those weeds. Our goal is to help you to rapidly find the root causes and neutralize them for good. My client's third hidden belief was her belief in darkness and opposition. She had a fear that if she did not make all the right decisions and not make all the right moves, that something would fail or fall apart, or someone might attack her or judge her. She always felt like she had to struggle in order to make something good happen. Sometimes we have these deep, hidden beliefs, and we don't realize that our life is the effect of those beliefs. She was relying on herself to be her own source and decision maker. And this is where the principles of A Course in Miracles can really help. Because through A Course in Miracles, you will learn how to turn inward for guidance and ask for help from higher consciousness. You ultimately understand through your practice of the Course that you are never alone. My client had been relying on herself, and she didn't know how not to. But during our session, we were able to bring in so many of these important concepts that helped her to look at what was going on, what the problems were, and then release them so that she could move forward. With our source technique, we combine EFT and prayer, listening to higher guidance, and we apply the spiritual principles of A Course in Miracles. This unique blend of healing tools brings extraordinary healing and results. And the results speak for themselves. Once I helped my client to neutralize her hidden root causes of the problem, things began to shift very rapidly. She was given a new senior management opportunity, making far more money than before. She ended up in a very happy marriage with someone that is loving, like-minded, and they have so many things in common. EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques, and this is a tool that we use with our source technique, which is our proprietary method of helping you to get to the root cause. And once you identify that root cause, we use EFT to release the influence of all of those old feelings, emotional charges, and the beliefs that are working against you. EFT is a way of tapping on energy meridian points, the same points that you use for acupressure and acupuncture, but these are points that are located closer to the surface of the skin. And you can access them by tapping with your fingertips. And we have a free diagram that's available to anyone. Just ask us for our EFT tapping points diagram. You can send an email to support@fasttrack2peace.com. But on this diagram, you'll see all of these points on the body, and you can actually tap on those points while you are tuning in to the root causes of the problem, And then we bring forward those spiritual, loving principles from A Course in Miracles. And this combination, when working together, provides you very rapid relief from pain, discomfort, stress, anxiety, cravings, and other negative feelings and emotions. EFT, or Emotional Freedom Techniques, has been around since about 1980, and even before that it has been around as a modality, but it was called other things. These are things that you'll learn in our course. You will learn the full history of EFT. But this is a combination of not only EFT, but by combining it with the principles of A Course in Miracles and with the very powerful aspect of prayer, and combining 20 years of experience, I spent so much time just listening to Spirit. How do we make this work? How do we get through this? What needs to happen here? I would pause and pray and ask what to do. Anytime I would hit a stumbling block within myself or with a client, and the answers I received were so powerful in the way they were put together, and they provide remarkable healing and relief. EFT with the Source technique is a structured approach, and I will teach it to you step by step in our online training series. I will teach you everything you need to know about how to do this for yourself, so that you can get to the root cause of any problem or concern and learn how to release it through EFT. You don't need any prior experience to take this course. You can take this course at your own pace with 24/7 access. This training can be used for personal healing and or spiritual development, or you can take the training to become a certified EFT with the Source technique practitioner. The choice is yours. In fact, most people take the training for both reasons, because they experience such profound healing while taking the course that, of course, they want to move on to become a practitioner. It's like when you find something good, the first thing you want to do is share it with someone you love. You can get more information about registration at miraclecenterstore.com. I had another client that was really wanting a love relationship, and this is a male, and he came to me because he was very discouraged. He had really been looking for someone to share his life with, and he had had a relationship before. He had been in a marriage that had come to an end, and he had children, but he really wanted to move on to a loving, happy relationship, but no matter what he did, it seemed like nothing would work, or the relationships would not last. And as we sat down together, we began to look deeply at those hidden root causes. And this is the Source technique. We use a rapid approach to get right down to the root cause of any problem or concern. And some of the things that we found out in our short time together is that he had some beliefs that were in his way, ones that he was really not aware of at the time. One of those beliefs is that he really felt that there really wasn't anyone out there because he had looked so much for himself, and he felt like there really wasn't anyone, and he was ready to give up hope. Another one of his hidden beliefs is that he felt that his spiritual beliefs were something that someone else may not be able to share, and he really wanted that deep level of sharing where they would value the same things. And in fact, his former relationships, spiritual beliefs were not shared, and it was very painful and conflicted. So one of those beliefs was that he felt there wasn't someone out there that might be able to share those beliefs. He also had pain in his prior relationship. He had been hurt. He had felt rejected. And that relationship had come to a very sudden end. And that pain was still in his heart. And so it's very hard to move forward and really meet that person that you'll go forward with when you're carrying that kind of pain in your heart. It's almost like trying to drag a bowling ball along with you. You're never going to feel free or like you can fly. So one of the things we must do in our sessions, in addition to finding those hidden root causes and beliefs, is to help release that pain from the past. It's almost like taking a thorn out of your heart, and it feels so much better when it's gone. He also had the habit of living his life alone. Imagining living with another person, it brings up fear that you may not have enough time or privacy or just time by yourself. And so there was some fear there, and that needed to be neutralized. He felt guilty about his divorce. He had children. He felt like they had suffered for it. And it just went against everything he believed in, even though he felt like it was the right thing to do. So another attribute of our session is we had to neutralize those deep feelings of guilt. And he was protecting against more hurt and rejection and betrayal. He didn't want to have those experiences again. So sometimes we don't realize it that we're actually guarding against the very relationship that we want to have because we do not want to repeat the pain of the past. He didn't feel that he was attractive enough. He felt that he had children, and that would be a negative factor for another person if they were thinking of getting together as a couple. And his last partner had created big financial problems, not only through the divorce, but even prior to the divorce. And so he was concerned that this new person might bring those same problems back to the relationship. So there were so many things, but they were all things that could be identified in one session. And in that one session, I was able to help him to release and let go of the pain of those feelings and the fear that surrounded them. And the result is that in a very short period of time, he ended up marrying a beautiful female corporate executive. And as a bonus, she actually made more money than he did, which he was really excited about. And now they travel all around the world, and they have a great time together. But you see, time after time, I sit down with people, and so do my graduates who have learned this very valuable technique. But we sit down with our clients, and our process is to not only listen to what's going on and where the client would like to go in terms of their happy picture or the idea of the life they would like to have, and we help them to turn inward and very rapidly, through a very structured process, go right to the root causes of what is in the way. It's almost like a tabletop, where the tabletop is the experience you would like to have, and the table legs are all the reasons you have against that idea. And so what we're trying to do is loosen those table legs so that we can allow that experience to come forward. You might think of the source technique as a shortcut or a direct line to the healing. Some of my graduates call it the magic wand, and the single most important tool they have in their basket of healing tools. The source technique works with any background, any age, race, income level, gender, or any problem or challenge. It is something you can try on anything, and every situation brings some level of relief, if not total elimination of the problem. And even though we apply the spiritual principles of A Course in Miracles in all of our sessions, we always speak in a language that our client understands. Some of our clients have no spiritual practice of their own, and they still respond very well to this healing process. There are times when I have used EFT for myself. We had a mountain cabin, and we would go up to the cabin, and there was something about just driving up to the mountain that my emotions would start to come forward. I don't know if you've had that experience before, but there's something about elevation. It starts to make you more aware of the feelings that you are having. But as soon as we would arrive at the cabin, I would just pardon myself for a few minutes before cooking some dinner for everyone, and I would go off into a quiet place, and I would apply my own source technique, and I would dive into my own thoughts and feelings, and I would find the root causes of my own stress or my own fear or my own pain. And then I would use EFT to release it. And it is so extraordinary because within a few minutes of time, I could come back to the house and re-enter and really have all of that behind me and then truly enjoy my weekend with my family. You know, sometimes we have these stressors, whether it's from work or relationship, or we have health concerns, or we're not sleeping at night, and other people may not be aware of the stress that you're feeling within yourself. But it is so fabulous to have a tool in your hip pocket that you can take with you anywhere you go that will help you to help you. You will know how to dive in and what's going on. You will know how to address it. You will know how to apply EFT, which is called tapping, and you will use that tapping in a very rapid way such that in a few minutes of time you can feel grounded and peaceful and ready to get back to your life. And what I've found from my own use is that my complexion has healed. I feel like age lines have come off of my face. I actually looked older about 20 years ago. I was beginning to look very old because I was so stressed all the time. I had bags under my eyes. I had wrinkles. I had lines on my forehead. My hair was falling out. You know, there was a time where I couldn't even turn my head because I had such a stiff neck. I would have to go to the chiropractor just to be able to turn my head. And I have none of those problems, and I haven't for years. This is something you can use to not only improve your health, but to help you to feel calm and peaceful and sleep at night. There was another client I had that she came into a class of mine, and she was a demo client. Somebody had referred her to us for the demo, and she came in with splints on her hands, and she had a very severe case of arthritis. My approach is to put myself into the position of listening to higher consciousness and following our structured source technique, and then applying EFT and prayer and all the things I have in my healing basket to help whoever is sitting next to me the very best I can, but trusting that this higher consciousness is really going to guide me and show me what we need to look at together. So I sat down with this woman, and here she is with these splints on her hands. Her hands seemed almost frozen in place, and you could tell that she could not use them. She was very academically accomplished. She had multiple college degrees, spoke several languages. She was an author, and she had so many things going for her, but you can imagine that when you're in severe pain and you can't even move your hands, that your life comes to a grinding halt. And within 45 minutes, we were able to look into those hidden root causes. And some people may not even believe that physical pain is always the result of emotional pain. I have seen it thousands of times, and I am here to share with you that if you are in physical pain, that relief is possible. And with this very unique blend of EFT with the source technique, with prayer combined with the principles of A Course in Miracles, you have a beautiful blend of tools to help you find relief. So in that 45 minutes, we learned from this woman that she had, as a child, come over from another country. As a child, she was very judged, not only from where she came from, but for her accent and the way that she looked and the clothes that she wore. And so she experienced a very deep level of rejection. And for anyone, this is really traumatic, especially for a child that doesn't know how to make any sense of it. And so she tried her whole life to fit in. And she tried everything she could do, like trying to become as educated as possible so that she could gain the respect that she so longed for. But the doctors had told her that this was the best they could do. This was a condition that was not only something they couldn't really help, but was likely to get worse. But in that 45 minutes, we learned a lot about the rejection that she went through as a child. She was judged, she was persecuted, and the pain that she had experienced as a child had been trapped in her body for a very long time. She even had a fear of travel, even though she was a woman that truly loved travel. But at this point in her life, it seemed almost impossible. Another one of her hidden root causes was that she would have premonitions about people that she loved, and those premonitions would come true, and that would frighten her. She was a longtime athlete, and she could no longer enjoy the sport that she loved because of this debilitating illness. But one by one, I helped her to identify the hidden root causes that were causing the pain, causing the arthritis. You know, a lot of people think arthritis is just a medical condition, and there's really not much you can do except take pain relievers day after day, year after year, only to see it get worse over time. But in that 45 minutes, we had a result that was remarkable. Each time this happens, my eyes well up with tears of joy, and everyone in the room wells up with tears of joy. But we watched this woman as we helped her to release that pain of the past and all those feelings of rejection that she experienced over the years. We watched her pain come down lower and lower and lower. We watched her take her own splints off of her hands, and then ultimately her pain came to a zero. We sat in shock as we watched her unfurl her fingers and begin to squeeze her hands open and closed, just in shock herself that she could do so. These are moments that are miraculous, and I'm not saying that I am doing them. I am saying I was given a process that helps this healing to occur at the direction of our higher consciousness. She took those splints off, and she smiled, and the tears of joy rolled down her face. It was amazing to watch, and it happened in such a short period of time. And on her way out of the room, she was all ready to book a trip to go back to enjoy her outdoor sport, which actually required a great amount of strength and agility. She was already ready. It's remarkable to watch, and even more remarkable to experience. I like to think of this training course as CPR for the emotions and for our physical well-being. You know, much like a paramedic might go on the scene and issue CPR to help somebody get going again, this technique is something that you can carry with you as long as you have your own fingertips and a way to tap out those negative emotions that you learn to identify. You will find yourself feeling so much better with so much relief. As long as you know the source technique combined with EFT, you can provide support and assistance in most any situation. Whether you are stressed or anxious, sad, depressed, angry, resentful, confused, or if you're in physical pain or you want to lose weight, this healing modality will help. I remember a time when a young boy came into my office and he had a problem with stuttering, and he didn't know why, and no one seemed to be able to help him. But after a few minutes, and the parent was sitting there with him, after a few minutes, we learned that the child had a pretty strained relationship with his father. And we also identified that the child was very uncomfortable in expressing that concern, and so he held it in. And after a few years, those feelings began to work against him in a way that his own language was impacted. But as we learned through the source technique what those hidden root causes were and then released them with EFT, he was able to leave behind his stuttering. He shocked himself and even asked his parent if he could come back sometime very soon. To see that child smile again, to see him speak without stuttering. I didn't do anything to address the stuttering. What I addressed was the reason he was stuttering, and these are the things that you will learn in this course. Our EFT with the Source Technique training course is the key that quickly unlocks the answers that you may not even know exist. With this course, you will receive classroom webinars that you can watch anytime with 24/7 access up to 1 year. And you will have training materials, so they're right at your fingertips. You can pop them into your turnkey binder. You have everything right there in front of you for a very successful and confident EFT session. You will receive 100 EFT cards that are customized with language that comes from A Course in Miracles combined with positive affirmations. And also these cards acknowledge the frustration, the pain, the concerns of your client, and then help them to move to a higher place of consciousness and relief. You do not need any prior experience, and we will help you to gain confidence to do full-on EFT sessions with tangible results, and oftentimes with extraordinary healing. The Source Technique is a way to get to the root cause, and in our training course we show you 4 different approaches on how to do that. It's almost like you're trying to enter the room of healing, and I show you 4 different pathways to do that, because sometimes the part of our mind that is resisting the healing is defensive against the healing. So I give you a few back-end entrances into that room so that we can really get to the root in the quickest possible way. I also provide you video demonstrations so that you can watch me work, and you can also see how this is accomplished in a very real way. If you'd like to get certified, you can meet our certification requirements, which if you are actively participating in the program, you will have no problem meeting those requirements. And you can also just take this course for personal healing. You will find that as you take the course, you will automatically experience personal transformation. So it will make you eager to want to learn more and to share. I remember the first day I even learned EFT, or the tapping method, and it was so exciting because I released so much of the emotional charge that I was feeling in my body that I thought I would just share it with my son, who was 7 at the time. And this is before I've added on all the great refinements that I've added in over the last 20 years. But even on that very first day, we sat down that evening, and he told me about his fear of the darkness, which I had experienced for over 5 years. And I started to explore with him, what is the root cause of this problem? And he listed out 4 or 5 reasons that he was afraid of the dark. And then we applied those EFT tapping sequences that you'll learn through this course. And within, I would say, 3 minutes, his fear of the darkness was gone, and it never returned. At this point in time, he was one to leave that door open so the light could come through. He was always one to desire the light in the room so that he would not be frightened. But after this under 5-minute time together, he was able to release it for the rest of his life. I've worked with children that sometimes they wet the bed and they don't know why, or, we all have behaviors that we don't even understand. We don't know where they're coming from. And with the root cause, you can identify what's going on at that deepest level, and then we call upon divine guidance to help us to release it and let it go. We can just turn it over and allow our higher consciousness to restore our mind back to peace. It's almost like hitting a reset button, and it helps you to feel so much better. If you'd like to register for our EFT with the Source Technique training course, just go to miraclecenterstore.com. Payment plans are available, and you can see those payment plans at fasttrack2peace.com. Just go over there to the tab on the right. It's called Become a Practitioner, and you'll see all of our courses there with all of the different options for registration to get involved. So there's no accident that you are here. Today, I really encourage you to join with me to learn a tool that will benefit you for the rest of your life. You can use it on everything, and you will be the next fan of EFT with the Source Technique, expressing to your own friends how powerful it is and all that you can do with it. Today, I have a very special treat in my friend Trish, who would like to come on the line and share a little testimonial of the work that we've done in just the last couple of weeks. Hi, Trish. Are you on the line?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can. Thank you so much for joining me and hearing about this wonderful healing modality, which you have experienced firsthand. So if you could just share a little bit about what you were sharing with me earlier today and how this technique has impacted you in your life, that would be so great.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so grateful to do so. And so thank you, Robin. And even as I was listening as you were sharing, I just wanted to affirm so much of what you said because it has been my experience over the last few years since I've connected with Robin and I've learned and been trained in the specific EFT with Source Technique, not only for myself, but I've also used it with other family members and friends and clients, and it really is profound. It has healed my life in many ways, so I just really wanted to affirm that and share that first. My most recent experience was I had been aware of one of my hidden root causes probably for several years. Briefly, I'll say, is like this deep feeling of abandonment. I've worked and been aware of it for several years, etc., but it's shown up repeatedly in most of my relationships here and there, in particular love relationships, but even some friendships and family relationships. In recent weeks and months, I actually had been in a love relationship, probably a little over a year, and what I was recognizing in the breakup and ending of that relationship, this really heavy experience of abandonment that I just could not process or shake, really on some level couldn't even understand. Again, what Robin was sharing tonight about, even though I had a basic understanding, there were still some hidden root causes that I couldn't see or couldn't experience or couldn't get to on my own. You know, I couldn't figure it out on my own.
Right.
So the heaviness was there. I knew what the abandonment feeling felt like, but it just would not leave. Nothing I did, even some of the tapping on my own. So I had the opportunity to meet with Robin, and as she described, working with the Source Technique in particular, I was able to describe what was going on currently and a little bit in touch with where I thought it was coming from, but she really helped me go back to very early age of a belief that I had that I didn't matter, that I did not have anyone there for me, and that I wouldn't be chosen to be cared for or looked after in the ways that I was so much needing and wanting, especially as a child. And again, walking through it with her and talking about it and then applying the tapping in that session, and then just some beautiful dialogue, and as Robin also shared, prayerful, even some exercises, homework that I could kind of come away with, understanding that deeper root cause, tapping together. I was committed from our session, which was really only about 2 weeks ago, and it had a lot to do with forgiveness and really seeing the innocence in the original experience and misbelief I was holding on to many, many years ago. The techniques and the information she gave me, I started practicing and holding the truth in some of the principles of the Course in Miracles, tapping with myself, and a lot of the material I've been using from Robin originally. Really, I say miraculously, because in those feelings I had in this previous relationship and letting go and the feeling of abandonment, long story short, I get a phone call from this previous boyfriend just a couple days ago. And he expressed to me so beautifully and peacefully a deep, sincere apology in all the ways that he recognized in our relationship where he had indeed not considered me or didn't choose me or put things before me or really abandoned us, an experience of abandonment. Not that he was to blame, but he was acknowledging that and sincerely offered a deep apology to me. And I tell you what, it was like this heavy block brick was just lifted off of me.
And he just called you out of the blue, right, after the session?
Yes, and very unexpected. I mean, it was very unexpected. Okay, so then a couple days after that, I had a friend who I knew who was visiting, but long story short, again, a very deep, long friend of mine, also knowing I was going through this heavy time, showed up and literally also sat with me and said, Trish, no matter what you're going through, no matter what you do, you don't have to show up any certain way. You don't have to try and fight and prove to be the person you are. I love you unconditionally, and I'm here for you, and I'm present for you, and I choose you. I mean, almost word for word. So again, it was
amazing?
Almost like the longing I had in these, root causes, the message I had been longing for many years and in a lot of relationships I was in. It was almost like those two people showed up with those voices to acknowledge and say, I'm sorry, I see you, I love you, I'm here for you.
Wow.
And then in final, I just want to also share, then I received just 2 days ago a call from another friend and previous male relationship that I was in years ago. And almost word for word, he said the same thing to me as my most current relationship, male friend had called and said the same thing. I recognize the times that I abandoned you, and I want to tell you I am sorry.
So that's three people just in the last few days right after the session where you released that old pain from those feelings of abandonment and offered forgiveness to those that you were seeing as the perpetrators, right? Something like that?
Yep. Yes, exactly.
Right. Well, I would just want to acknowledge you too, Trish, that you were willing to turn inward. It's not easy, and it's so much easier to think it's about the other person and how awful they are and how mistreated we are, and to really see ourselves as somehow just a deer in the headlights and there's nothing we can do about this awfulness. And you were willing to turn inward and really look at those hidden root causes, the ones where you might have decided against yourself and or you might have decided against your loved ones because of the things that had happened, and you were willing to look at them and bring them forward and release them with me through the Source technique and with prayer and release and the beautiful language of A Course in Miracles. But I really want to acknowledge you because a lot of people talk about wanting healing and wanting things to get better, but then when it's time to kind of roll up your sleeves and take a look at something, a lot of people find something else to do. All of a sudden, cleaning out your closet seems like such a better idea. And you were willing to just stop what you were doing, and you knew that you could find it, and we joined together with a common purpose of wanting that relief for you, and we were guided to it. And the beauty is the effect of the healing is these people in your life that show up and they love you instead of that old role that what they were playing. And it's all unprovoked. It's all a natural effect of the healing. And I have seen it hundreds of times where somebody does the inside work, the inside healing, and the very next thing that happens within 24, 48 hours is the person that was causing all the problem calls up, apologizes, or shows up in love or support, or, all of a sudden they meet someone new. It's just amazing. But, you were willing to turn inward with me, and not everyone is willing, and it's not hard, right? It's just something that we need to do to really get to the real answers.
Yes, and thank you for that acknowledgement, Robin. And it's the willingness. And, this most recent situation, I was just in such desperation of wanting to be free from this pattern that I've just lived in and out of for so many years, and recognized that, yes, I had built a wall to protect myself from being abandoned. And now it's like the experience I'm having just in recent days is the wall has come down, and the other effect is love and people are just coming to me. I'm not going out there and trying to fix anything. By that wall of protection and that misbelief falling down from this work and the willingness, I really am in this new experience of receiving love, support, and people being there for me. It's astonishing, really.
That's amazing. And it comes with prosperity. In fact, when those grievances come down and the hurt is neutralized, it's amazing how the door of abundance opens. So you can definitely look forward to that. It's all part of that healing. And I just thank you so much, Trish, for sharing today, because it's important for people to hear that firsthand experience of an actual healing, where I think you mentioned that you almost fell off your bed when that first phone call came through, because it was such a shock. And you're like, wow.
I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. Yeah, it was like my heart was being answered, and I knew I was receiving a miracle.
It's just, it's so cool. So thank you for sharing it, and we stand with you as you receive all of the many miracles, whatever it is that your heart is desiring with joy and love. May you just feel it flowing over you and through you and as you, and we just see you healed and whole, and in absolutely receiving all that you are already blessed with and entitled to.
Yes, amen. And thank you, Robin. And thank you that I could share as well. You're very welcome. Bye-bye.
As Trish was talking and I was listening to her amazing story and the results that she received, and I continue to just feel the blessings of this technique. And, I know I sound like such a cheerleader for this process, but I just have to tell you that as a mom of 6 kids between my husband and I, and 8 grandchildren and growing, it is so wonderful to have something that you can grab onto any moment of any day and be helpful. Whether it's one of my kids calling me who are now adults, but sometimes, time to time, they have something going on, or they feel stressed, or they have a deadline, or they're feeling sad. And just in a few moments of time, I can help them get back to their smile, back to their peace, ready to get out there and go again. And as a parent, it feels so good to have a tool that works that well. It does work well. And these are results that you will find on your own as you simply apply these techniques. I've worked with thousands of people, and I've always found some level of relief using EFT with the Source technique, if not total elimination of the problem. And whether it was, the woman with the severe arthritis, or people with sciatica, or migraine headaches, or relationship conflict, or prosperity blocks. There's so many different ways that we can be unhappy. But if we are willing to work together and to turn inward and find out what is the real root cause, then we can address it and neutralize it and release it together. And this is what you will learn in this course, and it will be something that will have lasting benefits forever and ever. So I hope you'll join me in my training course. You can find out more about that registration at miraclecenterstore.com. If you have any questions, please contact us at support@fasttrack2peace.com. Be happy to help you and answer any of your questions for you. But there is so much that comes with this, blessings that will go on and on and on.